So anything you want to sort of open with?
Are you ready? Okay, go.
Okay, go ahead, Joe.
I'm Joe Bartello, and I'm seeking the office of mayor in the city of Sunbury. My objective as mayor will be to do my very best to make Sunbury a desirable place to live and a safe community with a strong local economy, a place where companies want to locate, a place where people want to live. Achieving these goals is within our reach, and I have a straightforward plan to make it happen. There are 4 parts to my plan. They include bringing back jobs to Sunbury, revitalizing our housing market, restoring public safety, and creating a thriving and inviting downtown.
Okay.
Thank you.
You talked already about fostering economic growth as mayor. What are your top 3 things you hope to accomplish, not only in the city as a whole, but particularly down on Market Street?
Um, there's a lot of small little things that we have to do first before we can start going out to recruit stores to come into the area. Starting with keeping the downtown clean. I mean, there's people say it's going to cost extra money, but all it takes is the guys that are emptying the garbage cans to bend over and pick up an extra piece of garbage. It's not going to cost us money, but it's part of attitude and perception, and how the downtown looks means a lot when you're bringing in prospective tenants to look at the downtown. If you look around, there's cigarette butts and everything all over the place. It's really tough to convince them that we're as serious about the downtown as we want them to be. So, I mean, that's one thing, and the other thing is to go out and find industry to come here. I went to the Industrial Development Forum at Bucknell, and there was nobody from Sunbury or Northumberland County there. I was there though, but they taught us how to go out and find companies, talk to site selectors, what we need to do in order to bring companies here. And that's, you have to do those kind of things. You have to go out, you have to look for the types of companies that you want to come here. I want to bring companies that are paying family sustaining wages, good companies that are, not minimum wage jobs. They brag about different companies that they've brought to Sunbury over the years, but they're all minimum wage jobs. It's hard to have a thriving downtown when everybody's making minimum wage. It's the people in the city deserve better than that. And I'll work hard to try and make that happen. So.
One of the things we talked about previously is the sort of lack of a cohesive plan. I mean, you say you go to these development things and you don't see anybody there. We have a couple organizations in the city that sometimes work together well and sometimes don't work together well. As mayor,
Yeah.
what capabilities do you have of sort of tying those all together and getting the economic development that you see?
I think I have a good working relationship with the commissioners. I mean, I graduated with 2. I mean, I went to high school with 2 of them, graduated with 1 of them. And Sam's a good guy. He's a reasonable person to deal with.
Let me step in on that, Phil, because I know me and you actually worked together years ago on that comprehensive plan that they spent all the money on.
Right.
What are your, I mean, you've been following everything in the city, you're at every city council meeting. Back then, when they spent $80,000 on it, I mean, we agreed back then that it was a waste of
Yeah, I mean, it was a
funds.
boilerplate, something that you could have had Seattle at the top of it, or Dallas. It didn't matter. It was just something CEDACOG threw at us and said, give us our money.
Is there anything legitimate in there to pursue, though?
Maybe some of the census information, statistics, maybe the number of cars coming down certain streets in town, those kind of things are useful in planning. I mean, the things that were in it, I mean, it pretty much blamed the people of the town. What I came from is our master plan told us we need a new population. We have great assets, in real estate, but we really need a new population. And I don't feel that way about it. I think we just need jobs for the people that are here. We shouldn't have to leave town for work and shopping and everything we want to do. We got to get in a car and go somewhere else for it.
Why do you think that is? You've been on council previously. I mean, you walk down Market Street.
When I was at the Industrial Development Forum, I asked them why Sunbury is overlooked many times. And they said it's because our current leaders don't make any concessions, don't do anything, incentives to bring people here.
What sort of incentives?
You can do tax incentives. You can help them with applying for grants. I mean, there's many different things you can do to incentivize people to come to your place. Just showing that we would invest a little bit in our downtown area, like putting benches or some planters and trying to make it look nicer, keeping the street lights lit up. I mean, we have maybe a dozen street lights at any one time that are out on Market Street all the time.
Are those little things enough to attract businesses to Market Street in particular? Because you walk down the street and we have probably a couple dozen empty storefronts down on Market Street.
And we'd have to sit down with the landlords. That's another big part of it. I would have to sit down with the landlords and discuss with them too how we can work together. Maybe the city with some grant money could subsidize the rents a little bit so that they could lower the rents but still be bringing in their expected revenue. And I also would like to help them fix up their upstairs apartments. Right now the zoning in the downtown is such that you have to have a 900 square foot apartment or the city won't let you fix one up. So if you can't fix up the apartments because those apartments were designed 50, 60 years ago when apartments weren't that big, and you can't just all of a sudden just change it and say we want 900 square foot apartments because a bedroom needs a window. And when the buildings are right next to each other, there's no chance of getting a window in a bedroom if it's halfway back the building. So to meet code, a lot of times 900 square foot isn't possible, so the upstairs remains empty. And then you have a problem because now the storefront is all he can generate revenue with. So the rents are higher because he's got to pay his taxes. He's got to pay his mortgage and everything else on the building, utilities. So the tenant ends up picking up that whole bill. Or if there was apartments upstairs, he could spread that cost out. And people living upstairs and living in our downtown is very important because without people living in the downtown, there's nobody there to shop. That goes a long way in bringing stores. If they see you have not just it has to be people that can afford the shop too, but you want nice apartments and you want people that are there because that's foot traffic.
Do you have a sense of how many units that is that you're describing
That are not fixed up?
Approximately?
I would probably guess 20, maybe 20.
Okay.
So and then there's other ones that could be fixed up better and nicer. There's some that are in really rough shape that need work. But that's something that, again, the code office should be more of an assistance office, to help people, to guide them down that road of what they can do to fix their place up, not to sit there and point your finger at them and then leave them on their own, not knowing what you want from them.
Can I follow up to something Bill was talking about? What's the role of the city of Sunbury and SRI working together for some of the revitalization things that you're talking about?
I mean, SRI would be a good part of recruitment. I mean, they have the ability to go out and schmooze these people and bring them in and show them where all the attractions are in town and why to come here. They have a lot of the statistics already done, of what is as far as traffic rates, pedestrian flows.
You
those kind of things.
mentioned site developers earlier in an earlier comment.
For industry.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so I've asked about site developers numerous times in different settings, just so who are we talking to about trying to market some of the sites that we have. Is it your opinion that the city of Sunbury has the expertise today to be able to go after and work with site developers to try to take?
I mean, the site developer is the guy with the expertise.
Mm-hmm.
What we need is people that want to put the effort in, and that's what we're lacking right now. We're lacking people that that want to put that extra effort into that. They're happy to just sit back and let people, whoever comes here, we'll talk to them. But we need more than that. We need somebody that's going to actually go after people. Jobs that are in the STEM field. The science and mathematics and technology. The companies that are paying good wages and bring them here. Show them the advantages of being located in central Pennsylvania, being within a few hours of 6 major cities. And today's technology, when you can work on the cloud, as an architect or as an engineer or something, you don't have to be in New York City. They can be located here with the lower price per square foot of putting in a new office building. You know, when you try and put in a new office building in New York City, forget it, you know, you're talking millions of dollars. You know, here you can do it at maybe a third of the price. You know, we have advantages here. We have natural gas. We have the lowest energy cost by probably 40% over other parts of the country. You know, for big manufacturing, that's a huge thing because they use a lot of energy when they're making steel products and that type of thing.
Thank you.
How about the role, potential role of a city manager in your administration? I mean, is it something you'd be in favor of? Sort of maybe, what could you see that developing as in the city?
I think a city manager is very important. I mean, not that the council people do a bad job with their individual departments, but one manager over the day-to-day operations of all the employees. I saw it firsthand with Stu when he was here, when I first took office in city council, and things were running really good with Stu, but he just wasn't allowed to really do as much as he could. You know, so he was stymied from actually doing what he was capable of. And
As mayor, would you be able to sort of take a hands-off approach with the city manager?
oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, we have to work together. Not one person can do all this. I mean, we're talking a $4 million budget. You know, it's a giant undertaking, and it's going to take more than one person to do it.
How about your thoughts on the Sunbury Police Department, sort of its development from what it was to where it is now, and sort of moving forward?
I think it's the same as it was 8 years ago. There's really not much changed. I mean, the records department is still pretty much the same as it was. Our early intervention report said that needed changed. It was unfunctional, you know, and it's still that way. You know, that could have been fixed over the last 8 years, but it wasn't done. I haven't had enough dealings with the new chief to really know much about him. I met him once. I met him twice, and both times were at the National Night Out. So that was pretty much my dealings with him so far.
Do you feel like it's moved forward at all since Tim Miller's come on, or like you said, you haven't had enough dealings with him to nail that down?
Yeah, I can't really say. I mean, I know they're still undermanned, and I like that they're trying to figure out this cold case, but at the same time, I think patrolling the city should take priority over those kind of things. You know, and I don't agree with taking guys off patrol to do those kind of things. I mean, that's kind of like should be handled in our spare time, and I really hope they can solve it. But the people that are here today and here now are the ones that should take priority. You know.
Blight. It's been a big fight, big clash in the city. They've done a pretty good job doing it, particularly across the county. I mean, is that something you'd like to see continue?
It depends on how you define a good job.
Right.
I mean, they've cost the city a lot of money with it.
How's that?
Between legal fees, demolition. I mean, the demolition is covered with the grants, but I mean, the legal fees to take the house to begin with is a big chunk. And then by the time you pay for the demolition, you're into about $30,000 on each property, if not more. And then you have a vacant lot. And what do we get for taxes on a vacant lot? $100 a year, maybe. You know, so how many decades is it going to take for us to recoup that $30,000 investment?
What would your plan be? So that what we're doing now.
I'd rather put that $30,000 into the house. You know, put a roof on it, put some windows in it, paint it, put it back on the tax rolls, get a family in there. You know, instead of an empty lot. You know, because once there's an empty lot with the current zoning, by the time you have your 10-foot setbacks on a 30-foot lot, what do you got? A 10-foot house you're going to build on it? You know, you can't build anything. We just stuck with an empty lot the rest of the rest of the days. You know, it's not the right way to go when we're with the small lots, unless we're going to change our zonings. If we're going to change our zoning to what they call like a smart zoning, where you can rebuild what was there with the same setbacks. But when we try and do a cookie cutter one size fits all zoning with this small lots, you know, that doesn't work either. You know, we're much better off fixing up the house that was on the property to begin with. I've seen in places like look at Charleston, South Carolina, and look at some of the places that they brought back. I mean, there were places that were like leaning over like this and ready to fall apart. And that mayor, Joe down there, he decided that they weren't going to tear those places down, and they fixed them up and turned them into affordable housing.
Now, would that be the city taking over those houses and flipping them, or would it be
I mean, they're taking
investors
them
or
over
something like
now.
that?
They're taking them over now. It would just be the same grant money. It would just be, instead of putting it into demolition, we put it into recovering the
There are
home.
some private developers, though, who have been rehabbing some of these.
Yep, and you
homes.
could do it that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the ones that we can't find a developer for, then we just put the money into it ourselves and put it back on the market. And then we can sell it. And then on top of that, we're getting, $1,200 or $1,500 a year in taxes instead of $100. So,
Community college, we have Lackawanna in the city now.
mhm.
It's been the community college itself, the independent community college, has been a big project here for a while. With the arrival of Lackawanna, do you think the city still should pursue the independent community college project? Do you think we're
I think so, because they serve two different populations. They serve two different types of people. I mean, Lackawanna is for the people that want an accredited course, that want to go on. A community college is for people that it can serve more of a population that doesn't have the money to go to school, or doesn't have as much money to go to school to afford a school like Lackawanna, but they still want some basic education to improve their job or their career. It doesn't always have to be a 2 or 4 year degree. Maybe it's just a certificate, or just local classes at night to better yourself and learn something, a different language or something else that you didn't know before. And a community college can serve a lot of those things, even teaching English to people.
No, as mayor, that sounds like something you would be active in recruiting and help develop in the city.
Yeah, that and a technical school, because if we really want to attract the kind of companies I'm talking about, we have to we have to have like a technical school or a community college to work with some of those companies. I've seen shows on PCN in Harrisburg where our state house is talking about the connection between technical schools and companies, where a company will actually work, pay money and work with the technical school to bring their equipment into the technical school, so that they can teach the workers how to use their equipment before they even open up. And they work hand in hand. And I think there's money available through the state and other places to fund some of these projects.
Partners available too to work with?
Yeah, I know in Pittsburgh there's companies that are working with technical schools that way, and I want to spend a lot of time in the State House. I want to spend time in DC and knocking on doors and letting them know we're here. It's like, if we're not the squeaky wheel and ask, we don't get those things. There's too many other people that are banging on their doors too and asking.
Now they have with Lackawanna opening last month or in August. They have a couple dozen students, maybe 3 dozen students down there. Is there enough demand to hold, maybe hold's not the right word, but to have both in the city?
Yeah, we have 10,000 people here. I mean, and there's other people from out of the area. I mean, you could have said that about Susquehanna. What population does Selinsgrove have? Do you have enough to support a college? But they don't support the college that New Jersey and places like that do. It just depends on where your people are coming from and what they're offering. I mean, I think we do. I guess we'll find out. I know it depends on what the community college is offering. If it's courses that people are interested in and they're doing a good job in bettering the people, they'll do good. If people are getting out with their degrees and they're not getting a job, then sooner or later the people are going to stop going, because if it's not helping.
Frank, do you have anything about the community college? I know something you talked about yesterday.
No, I think you asked the right questions. I think that for us, it's these are private enterprises, and so if there's no government money involved and the marketplace wants to see if it's out there, I think you're probably right. The market will decide if there's
Right.
value. I think it is a legitimate question, though, to ask: is there enough demand? And I don't know the answer to that. It doesn't sound like really anybody does at this point.
Yeah, it's like any other business. You really don't know until you open up. Until you see if the people come through the door or not.
But they've done some market research that suggests that the community college is there, but Lackawanna wouldn't have made this investment on their end if they didn't believe the same thing. And so
It sounds like people are coming in through the door there, so we'll see a few years down the road if they can build it into something or not.
And it's good for Sunbury too, because that plaza that it's in off Fourth Street is beginning to
Yeah.
fill up and have some more activity.
I know people disagree with me, but if we did have a community college and technical school, I'd rather see those things closer to the downtown.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question, if you,
So that the students are pedestrians too, and eating and shopping. That means a lot when you have potential tenants that are gonna come in the area. If they see that there's students that are gonna be there, like in Bloom or Selinsgrove, that are gonna be shopping and eating and drinking in your downtown, then that's a plus for us, you know, and for the kids, I think, if they're close to things that do.
Right, we sort of bounced from the northern end up at 4th Street back to downtown to go back to that direction. What do you envision, potential city involvement in the rehabilitation, the reformation of the Knight Solitex property up there?
Right now, it's okay to put industry there, and that's what I want to put there. We have 40 acres. I mean, I'd like to talk to the county. At the Industrial Development Forum, they said the best way to attract companies is to do the infrastructure and to have it ready for companies to come in.
In advance, yeah.
Do the stormwater, put a road down through, maybe split it up into lots if you want to do smaller lots. And that's 40 acres. That's nothing to sneeze at. A lot of towns would love to have something like that, 40 acres with railroad access, and I'd love to see, even if it was a modular home company, a gun manufacturer. I mean, there's so many people out there that are looking for a home. It just takes, a little bit of thought and research and find out who's out there. And these site selectors, that's who they work with. It's
So
my
you're
first call is going to be to that guy.
you're
I'm going to
talking
find
more-
out who's looking.
It sounds like you're looking more industrial for there as opposed to sort of a mixed use
Definitely.
facility with shopping or
It's
hotels or something.
contaminated land. It's got a covenant on it. It's contaminated. I keep saying it and I keep saying it, and people just keep ignoring it. It's contaminated. There's nothing we can do there. It's residential. And a prison is residential. A hotel is residential. Nobody should be sleeping on that property. So it's good for industry. It's good for that stuff, and that's what it should be used for. It's already zoned industrial, and that's what we need in this town. We need jobs. A hotel is going to be nothing but another bunch of minimum wage jobs, and that's not what we need. We do need a hotel. I'm not saying that, but it's not going to fix anything.
Do you think the prison leaving hurt?
In a way, I mean, it was a double-edged sword. I mean, there was a lot of pressure on our storm, like our water and sewer system to put 300 toilets on it all at once like that. That would be not the easiest thing for them to handle either. They like the income coming in, but because they pay the sewer rate for all those toilets too. But that was probably the biggest loss to us at the municipal authority. But
Were you on the council, Joe, when the city got the money for the surveillance cameras?
they actually got it before I was on council, but they spent it while I was on council.
What do you think of how it's worked out, how it's
I
worked?
voted no on everything that came up for it. I was against it from the beginning. I thought it was a good theory, but not the way they were doing it, not the way they were going about it. So I just distanced myself from it.
As a mayor, what capabilities, what would you like to see happen to the program moving forward then?
I'd like to see it continue, but I want to do it. I want to get cameras that actually work. I want to get cameras that can see at night, and I want the feeds of the cameras to go to the police department, not to some guy in Pittsburgh. So it's like it just has to be done right. That's all. I mean, right now I hear it doesn't work at all, but they still keep paying the bill because they don't want people to know that it's not working. So it's like, that doesn't make any sense at all to me. It's like either we fix it or don't fix it, but don't just keep pretending that it's working when it's not. It's like, that doesn't make sense.
Do you think it's a viable option moving forward, though, to get it replaced, get it repaired, something like that? Like there is value to the city to have it.
Yeah, definitely the value if it's accessible, and if it's usable. Right now, I mean, it would be if how many crimes have happened in view of one of those cameras and they've been no help. I mean, that
Francis will tell you, that's the
If-
first,
if
that's the
if
first
it-
question I always ask him.
If it would have been, if the cameras would have been what we should have had from the beginning, they would have helped us in all those situations. So they are a force multiplier when it's done correctly. I want body cameras on the police, I want dash cameras in the cars. You know, we have to have more accountability.
I think the body camera thing is a union thing, though. That's not just something that the city can do. That's a police
Well, I'm
thing.
gonna ask for it,
Yeah,
so, and then we'll negotiate. They still don't have a contract,
yeah.
so we still have to hammer out a contract yet, and I don't think that's gonna happen before the end of the year. The
But
way that looks.
philosophically, you're in favor of the body cameras, the dash cameras, the surveillance cameras that Bill was referencing, philosophically.
Yeah, I think that's protects the officer just as much as the citizen, you know, because whatever happens at that location, then there's a record of what really went down. So that's, I think that's very
The
important.
dash cameras, absolutely, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can put 'em in.
I mean, look at all these situations in other towns. If it wouldn't have been for body cams and stuff, you know, the police officer could have never proved what he did was the right thing, because it's his word against the person he's pursuing. You know, it's
Dennis, do you have anything?
Well, yeah, a couple things actually. What about a new police headquarters?
my plan is to put the police back in City Hall on the first and second floors. And the rest of the offices can move to the third floor. We already have holding cells in the basement, and it's close to the courthouse, and it's a secure brick building where the police will be safe.
And there's enough room for that to happen.
Yep. We would just have to bless another landlord in town with CareerLink, that's all.
Okay, that building that they're in
You wanna
now
get rid of
seems to be
I would just like to see
ready to
them
collapse under
another.
its own weight. Is that?
Oh.
I know you talked about rehabilitating buildings, but is that one that maybe just needs to come down?
What, the police
The
station?
current police station, yeah.
Oh no, I'd love to see that rehabilitated. I think underneath that metal facade, there's a beautiful building, and that would be a very nice. I'd like to see the code office and the tax office in there, really, because then they could be open on Saturday mornings, and there's a door connects to the market house there, so people could come down and get building permits and pay their taxes on Saturday morning while they're at the market house. That would.
Dennis, I don't wanna interrupt you, but he said something. So you're saying you wanna move CareerLink out of the city hall into somewhere else?
I would like to see that. Maybe even Albright Center. I don't know. Maybe there could be a better place for them. I just think right now we're better off if we combine our offices into one place and combine the utilities instead of paying utilities and phone and everything in all different locations.
Right. You said about moving the police station.
They're talking about building a $500,000 police department somewhere. I mean, who has the money for that? You know, where are we gonna? And then they want to put in a wooden, whatever it is, you know, somewhere. I want something that's where the police are going to be secure, where they're going to have the best chance of being successful.
A question that when you said that about the police, you know, when they move them in, because of the prison being moved now, you know, and it's really nothing that I mean, if you have a plan on it, it would be great. When they have to transport the prisoners now, it's on the county has put it back on the municipality. So now, if it's 1 o'clock in the morning and you have 2 guys out, you have to take that guy to Cole Township when it's built. But Cole Township right now doesn't accept prisoners after 3 o'clock. So now you're driving.
We have holding cells in the basement. We could hold them there.
You need 2 officers on them. That's the problem. So that's why when the prison was here, you would be able to dump it and go. If you make an arrest, you need 2 officers per. That's a law, and nobody follows it. And nobody follows it in the county because you just don't have the manpower.
Well, I mean, I think we really need to use our constables better and make better use of the constables, and even work with them to get better training. I know we have some good constables in the city itself right now. That's a position that people just haven't been running for in the elections. We have a lot of empty spots in the constable area, but we have 6 wards, so we could have 6 more constables, and they're actually state employees when they get elected. So that would be 6 more people we could use.
Those bills though for the constable to go.
Yeah, but it's like a $50 bill to transport a prisoner or something like that. It's not much. You know, I mean, it would cost a lot more than that to pay an officer his overtime
Right.
and everything to go.
They're going to York
Yeah,
County now.
we'd be
they're going
saving
to-
a lot more money just paying a constable to do it. And they do it now for the county, so why shouldn't they do it for us? You know, we just have to be able to work better with those particular people.
Dennis, you have anything else before we let Joe offer up?
Yeah, just one more thing. It seems like there's obviously a lot of good people in Sunbury who want a lot of. Everybody who's running seems to want the best for the city. I get all that, but I don't get the sense that there's a cohesive one, everybody paddling in the same direction plan for where we're going to go. I guess I'm asking as mayor, can you be that driving force? Can you be the guy that says, here's how I think we can best do this, and kind of direct people to all paddle in the same direction?
I
A
mean,
lot of people with
that's my
their own
goal.
agendas and their own ideas about how to do things.
I mean,
I think
that's
it's
my
real important
goal.
to get a cohesive plan.
That's my goal. I mean, I've worked with a few of them already in the past, and we've agreed on some things, but that's how government works. I mean, you hope that. I mean, look at our Congress right now. I mean, they're not exactly paddling in the same direction either, but you would hope that we could all come together. I mean, it's not that I have to change and just follow them, and they don't have to do the same with me, but I hope there would be a way that we could meet in the middle and get things done for the city of Sunbury. That's the plan. You know, I mean, it may not happen exactly the way I'm describing it. Maybe there will be a middle road somewhere. That I'm just saying this is what I would like to see, and I'm sure they have their view of what they would like to see. You know, and that's where we have to discuss and hopefully discuss it at a meeting in front of the people, and then the people can have a say too in what goes on. You know, that's my goal, to bring back the work sessions again, have one city council meeting and one work session each month, and actually have that work session be the idea time when people feel free to come and voice their opinions and their ideas to help us come up with better solutions for some of these problems. You know, because we're not the ones that know the best thing all the time. You know, that's how you come up with good ideas is having a lot of voices, you know, making their opinions known. So,
Is there anything that we didn't ask that you wanted to talk about before you wrapped up?
No, actually, I think we did cover it pretty good. I mean, I did see, Attorney General Sessions did sign another bill. I think it was October 5th, where they put out another $98 million in grant money for local police local police departments to get help with records and stuff like that. So that's one place that I really hope that the new administration is going to be offering us a lot more help than local departments have gotten in the past. And,
You brought up records before, so what exactly would be your priority in that, and what needs to happen in your view?
we need a better computer system than what they have now. All the local departments pretty much have the same thing, but there's better stuff out there, and I'd like to work together with the other communities and even the county and sort of see if we could all come to agreement and come up with one common, so we can share information better and be able to retrieve records better. Because right now I think that's their problem, is record retrieval.
Well, all the rest go into that CSIC or whatever it goes
Like
in.
a
So it's
room.
across the state. So once they enter it into the computer, it's across the state.
Yeah.
You can do all the printouts from wherever.
So your concern is not about records breaches or things like that?
No,
it's more about
just
efficiency.
organization.
Okay.
And just being able to locate things when you need them. When
I
you're
just-
investigating a crime, it
Yeah.
doesn't take as long. You just want to bring that information up fast.
I just wanted to clarify, so good.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did. No, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Anything else
Should
you'd
I-
like to add?
No, I just vote for me on November 7th.